and welcome to another episode of the CoolKarnis. This is your host and host, Sanjeev Kulkarni. Today we'll do something a little different. We are not just conducting an interview, but we are traveling through time and cultures. My guest today is an extraordinary octogenarian who carries 8 decades of vivid lived history in his memories. I have the absolute honor of sitting down with the incredible Srinivasan Chidambaram ji. Imagine a life whose opening scenes are set in the ancient, pre-independence, culturally rich temple town of Chidambaram in Tamil Nadu in early 1940s. He was a young boy when India awoke to life and freedom on the 15th of August 1947, standing on a doctor's porch with a flag in his hand as his father was being attended to. From the deep traditions of the South, his journey took him to West Bengal and eventually to the intellectual, fiercely artistic and politically charged streets of Kolkata during the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War and the turbulent emergency in 1975. But his canvas doesn't stop there in India. As a young engineer in the 1960s, he was thrust into the neon and the traditions of Japan, arriving just in time to witness the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. He learned the language, absorbed the culture, and learned a vital lesson about tearing down the internal blocks we all hold against the unknown. Ultimately, his journey brought him to our very own Melbourne, carrying this rich tapestry of global cultures that now included many more countries and cultures. He broke incredible ground here. At the turn of the millennium, as he touched 60, he decided to hang up his boots and shift his attention towards the fast-growing multicultural diaspora that was screaming for attention. Eventually, he became the first Victorian Multicultural Commissioner of Indian Origin. It is a story of resilience, of shifting from a rigid mindset to one of total openness and finding a common human thread. Whether you're eating sambar rice in Chennai or curry tofu don in a Japanese restaurant, try to imbibe the same flavors. I must admit that time flew as we waded through decades and entered the new millennium. We could not do complete justice to his role over the past 25 years as the multicultural leader. Srinivasan ji has assured us to continue this journey in another episode, hopefully later in the year. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's step into the history books with Srinivasan Chidambaram ji. We will begin with a visual journey of his life over the decades, so craftily put together by his daughter Priya ji. Do note that the mouth organ you hear in this clip, aptly tuned to Hai Apna Dil To Avara, is played by Srinivasan ji himself. Another facet to his personality to be explored in the next episode. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the CoolKarnis. This is your host and host, Sanjeev Kulkarni. And I'm incredibly honored today to be sitting with one of the most renowned personalities in Melbourne, Indian diaspora, I would say, Srinivasan Chidambaram ji. Srinivasan sir, welcome to the CoolKarnis.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this conversation.
Thank you, our pleasure. How are you doing today?
Today is a good day because it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Though I'm retired, but still Friday has its own attraction.
Absolutely, because it's still Friday for others, right? Your kids, your grandkids, it's still Friday for them.
Exactly right. You're right. You picked it up.
Yes, wonderful. Srinivasan ji, what we do in our podcast is we request you to give us a brief introduction about yourself first, and then we use that as a way to uncover through the conversation.
Okay.
So I'm going to request if you can please introduce yourself to our guests.
Okay. So my name is Srinivasan. In South India, the first child in the family is usually named after the grandfather, and my grandfather was Professor Srinivasan Chidambaram. So I was named after him. He was a well-known professor of history and politics in Madras and Annamalai universities. So I was born in a place called Virudhunagar, which is for people who know Tamil Nadu politics, that was the place where Kamaraj Nadar was born, and he had his reputation there. He was the premier of Tamil Nadu.
In the 60s, I believe.
Yes, correct. Late 50s, early 60s. But I was born in 1941. So, and Virudhunagar is more a trading town, more wholesale trade and more commodities sort of stuff. It's not far away from Madurai. It's about 30 miles from Madurai, on the southern side. And my grandfather on my mother's side, they were Burmashal agents, petrol. They had 6-7 petrol stations in those days. Oh, wow. And people used to say they are very wealthy because if you have one station, you are a millionaire. But they were very lucky. Anyway, that's not important. So my mother comes from that place, and she was born in a place called Srivilliputtur, which is the birthplace of the goddess Andal. For people who know South Indian goddesses, Andal is one of the important goddesses who is supposed to be the wife of Lord Ranganatha at Srirangam temple. So that place is called Srivilliputtur. She was born in that place. I was born in Virudhunagar, where my maternal grandfather had his commercial agencies. So, and I was born in 1941, and my father actually comes from Chidambaram, which is another temple town. And my grandfather on this side is Professor Srinivasan Chidambaram. Obviously, I get his name from him. And he was a well-known professor of history and politics in those days in Madras and Annamalai universities. Well-known in India as such. He has written enormous number of papers on historical research, etc. And more focused on South Indian history research. And so that is my father's side. My mother's side, I've already explained. They were they were agents for petrol, kerosene and all that in that area. They had about 10-12 locations where they had agencies. So they were considered, very, very rich in those days. One station is enough, as they used to say. So they were very rich. But my father's side, they were more academic. My grandfather being a professor of history and politics in Madras. He studied in Pachapas College in Madras, which was a well-known college in those days. It has fallen on bad days, not bad days. It's not as reputable now as it used to be. And Pachapas College was very well known in those days. In fact, all the political leaders like Annadurai, I don't know if you know Annadurai.
Of course.
He was a student of my grandfather in Pachapas College.
Oh, wow.
So it was the fertile ground for politicians to free talk and all that. That union used to be very well known. I'm talking about 1920s, 30s, probably early 40s. More 30s, 1930s. And so my grandfather was teaching there, and then he was invited to head the Department of History and Politics at Annamalai University. Annamalai University was started by very generous, munificent families headed by Annamalai Chettiar. They were mainly traders who had made their money in Burma, etc. when they were taking goods from India and selling it there and all that. So he had made a lot of money there. But a very generous and charitable person. So he wanted to come back and start an institution. And he had a love for Lord Nataraja. So he said, I will choose Chidambaram. So he came to Chidambaram, and then he started this university, which was in Chidambaram.
So Annamalai University is actually based in Chidambaram?
Yes. Oh, Annamalai University is in Chidambaram. And Chidambaram, not in the central town, but it's part of that.
The district.
A few miles from the if you like, the town hall. And so he started that, and he invited very well-known professors from all over India to basically have good people to start the institution. And so he got some very excellent professors who were in various parts of India, not just South Indians, by the way. From Mysore, he got a few people, Karnataka in those days they were, and then he got some people from Delhi University, from Calcutta University, and obviously Madras University. You know, my grandfather was one of them, but there were a few others. So it was started with a nucleus of very highly talented, not necessarily well-known at that time, but very talented and very highly respected by the students community. The students loved these teachers because they were, one, learned, and they were willing to part their knowledge and learn and teach the students. And the characteristics of those, what some of my grandfather's students who used to tell me, I mean, they were elder to me, but they say he was someone who never had any question. Sorry, you can ask him any question, and most of the time he will have enough to answer you properly. And he had an encyclopedic knowledge, is what one old gentleman told me.
Wonderful.
When you ask him a question about something happening in British India, he will be able to relate it to what happened during the Russian Revolution and what happened in the Chinese thing, and of course Europe. So that way of encyclopedic knowledge to relate the various histories for a particular issue at hand.
So you're getting the historic context, you're getting equivalents in some other, what could happen in other culture in some other time. And
yes,
wonderful.
So that is what this gentleman told me. This is where the current teaching, they may not have that, not that they are bad, they just don't have that wide-ranging, what he called encyclopedic knowledge.
Correct.
Because they were only set on one particular period of history. Anyway, so he was quite a well-known professor. And he used to have such a high command of English language that he was invited to join Annamalai University when it was started. By Annamalai Chettiar, he made his fortunes in I think in Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia somewhere. And then he came back and he wanted to give something back to the community. And he wanted to do it, though his native place is Chettinad, which is further south. But he wanted to do it in Chidambaram. He had a love for this place because of Lord Nataraja, you know, the dancing god. So he bought some land and he started this, and he picked the very good people from various places and universities in India. And he also got actually one professor from, I believe, from England. So he was able to attract good people to come, and he gave them good facilities for them to settle down. And then he had a good students there. It was a small college. It was called originally Meenakshi College of Music. They only started like that. And then Meenakshi.
Of course, yeah.
So, and then it became the Annamalai University. Annamalai basically was because of Muttaya Chettiar is the one who started this, but he did it in honor of his father, Annamalai Chettiar, who made his fortune in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, before they came here. They were trading people. You know, Chettiars, are you familiar with them?
I've heard, but I didn't know this background.
Chettiars are trade people, very good at trading people. And they made their fortunes there. Then he came back and he wanted to give back to the community. And that is how Annamalai University was started. Small one. It started as a music college, Meenakshi College of Music.
And then it is a reputed name today.
And then it went on and it became a big thing. And he invited good people from various places in India. And he picked my grandfather to head the Department of History. And those days they used to have history, economics, politics all in one department. So he used to be both history and politics. So he was very, as I said, he was highly respected, and people used to admire his wide-ranging knowledge of multiple countries' histories.
You got to spend time with him as well?
Yes, but I was. He died in 1951 when I was just 10 years old.
Right.
So I know him. I used to talk to him. He used to take me to his lectures or anything. I went for his 61st birthday celebrations. In his honor, the Madras University had organized a function where the Vice Chancellor of both Madras and Annamalai universities were present, and some of his students, who were all very highly placed, people in the IAS, ICS, all
so the independent India at that time.
Yes, it was in 1951.
51.
That happened. So they came, and I was fortunate to be taken to that. My grandfather took me there. In fact, my father took me there. So I could see how much respect that he was given by all his students.
So if I can, I'm making this term up. So in a way, you were born with a silver spoon from your mother's side.
Yes.
But you're born with a golden pen. This is a term I'm making up. Golden pen from your father's side because of the academic, the genius that your grandfather was.
Yes.
Wonderful. So you're the eldest.
I'm the eldest in our family. There is my father. I was the first son in our family. Then I had there were quite a few deaths after I was born. There was a girl and then another girl. They died. In those days, the medical services were not good, particularly in Georgetown where we used to live. My grandfather had a house in Georgetown. In Madras, Georgetown is what is used to be called the Black Town.
Okay.
Historically, Black Town is where the Indians lived, whereas in Fort St. George area is where the white man lived.
Oh my God, how racist.
So it was very kind of, so we used, this Black Town later was changed to Georgetown.
Okay.
In honor of the visit of King George V.
It's still called Georgetown?
It's still called Georgetown. I think now, I think so, yes. And so that's where we were. It's an old place. It's a very crowded place. And so that's where
inner city in a way.
Very inner city, very. I mean, it was supposed to be a very prosperous part of the town when the East India Company was prospering. It's not very far from Fort St. George, where they had a fort and close to the port.
Okay.
For all their commercial activities.
Okay. I have never been to Chennai, or I've been, but I probably don't know.
Very similar to what happened in Bombay or Calcutta. The same sort of.
Same setup.
So that is where I was, and that place is Georgetown. You know, it's an old town. It's compared to the newer developments in Madras. It is old, but very historic importance. Like the DMK party was inaugurated in Georgetown.
In Georgetown, okay.
In a place called Mint Street. There used to be a mint originally when the British were there.
Correct.
So in that street were another EVR who came and started it. And another all the Karunanidhi, all these people used to come and speak there because it is their kind of mother ground for them.
So in a way, all this was happening when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, like when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So I used to listen to all these people, and there were some fantastic speakers. Another can speak very well both in English and Tamil. Fantastic. Anyway, I'm digressing. So that is how my initial childhood started. And obviously I went to a school. My father was very keen that I should not be going to a English medium school, though there were lots of others in our kind of social strata who were sending their children to the school, English medium. But my father said, no, I want him to be in a Tamil medium school so that he understands the society much better. So,
but does it mean, sorry, I mean now,
please.
Now probably, I don't know how things are to be honest, but even now I wouldn't be mistaken if I said that the regional language becomes your public school, whereas English language becomes a private school.
Yes,
so there's a quality of education difference.
Yes.
Is it how it was back then?
Yes, it was very much like that. It was very much like that. And some of the people, the lesser economically poorer people could not send their children to good schools because good schools happened to be those schools which were teaching English. If you teach English, it was considered to be a better school, though qualitatively it is not provable.
Correct.
But that was the what I would call the impression. If you're in an English medium school, then you're somehow better than the others.
Correct. You're better off.
Better. You know.
So you felt that difference. You felt that studying in a Tamil school, the quality of education, or holistically how did that benefit you, the way your father taught?
My father was very keen that I should have a good spread. You know, I should not become only just English or Tamil or anything. He wanted me to learn as many languages as I can. So I remember I was put in the Hindi, Sanskrit, Tamil, and all these languages. I attended wherever the
separately, like outside
as part of the school,
within the school. Okay.
But the Hindi and Sanskrit were not very popular. And Hindi was at that time, because of the Tamil Nadu government's policies, it was actually, people being looked down upon. But my father advised me that you should not have any such dislike. After all, you're learning a new language. It will be a good thing. And Hindi is going to be, or at that time it was already declared a national language. So it would be to your benefit to know that. So don't have anything. There were very few students, by the way.
Yeah.
And I remember the Hindi teacher, who also was the Sanskrit teacher, he came to our house to request my father not to take him off from Hindi or Sanskrit.
And just curious, he was of Tamil origin?
He was of Tamil origin.
Okay.
He was a Tamil, but he learned Hindi, Sanskrit,
so spent time outside.
And that was his thing. And he said, if I don't have enough students, sir, learning Hindi and Sanskrit, I won't have a job.
Oh gosh.
So he came, and my father said, don't worry, I will not take him out. He will be there for you. You can. So I continued with that. And then after, when I was in class 8, I think my class 8, 7, my grandfather died. and then we had to move to a place which is closer to my father's office in Gopalapuram. It's a place called Gopalapuram I think, which is not in Georgetown. Georgetown is very crowded. We like the old town.
Correct.
So
in the city.
Yeah, exactly. Very crowded.
And Gopalpuram, like in Melbourne context, you would say it is outside, like a Menton Road.
Yes. Like this sort of place. It's not a very posh or rich or anything.
Yeah.
But it was very a nice place. So and it was close to his office. That was his reason why.
Of course.
We went
totally
to Gopalapuram.
Yeah.
So his office was in Mount Road, if you know Madras, opposite to Spencer's building. Spencer's used to have in Bangalore also, Spencer's used to be very, I don't know whether you know much Bangalore.
Not now.
Okay. So Spencer's used to have their shops, etc. Very well-known trading house from England. They were there for more than 100
like
years.
a retail.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So you walk into their office, but it's all very expensive, but good quality because it's all from England those days. So that Spencer's, so the office was opposite to Spencer's building, and originally it was called Longman's Green and Company, but then when India became independent, they changed that incorporation to Orient Longmans.
Okay. What did they do?
They were book publishers.
All right. Okay.
So my father basically, my father actually, he was supposed to be one of the more brighter students in those years. He was definitely the brightest in our family at that time.
Did he study under your grandfather?
My grandfather's thing.
Okay.
He was the first son. My grandfather had 1, 2, 3 more sons and 2 daughters, but he had to marry a second time because after my father was born, his mother died. So my father had a stepmother who brought her, but she was a very nice lady.
So your father was the first child. Everybody else is from the stepmother.
Correct. And so my father had his education in Madras, in Georgetown for a while, in a school called Hindu Theological High School. See, that advanced
theological.
He wanted to promote Hindu theology because of the surrounding Christian focus,
influence, and
so he started a very, very highly respected man, and so my father was there for a while. So he had a lot of these patriotic Hindu-related things, etc., but without any hatred for Christian or anything like that. Because he ended up studying in Christian college for his history honors. So that is how his thing started. So coming back to where I was, so after a few years in Georgetown, which was our ancestral house, when my grandfather died, there was a family division of things, and my father, being the first wife's daughter, he had a few more things which he had to get from the whatever, his mother's jewels and all that. But they were all settled very amicably.
That's nice.
And but then it was he felt it was better for him to take that opportunity to move to a place closer to his office.
Right.
Because every day he had to go to a place called the Flower Bazaar, where it will take at least half an hour to go there, and then you have to catch a bus or a taxi to go to Mount Road. It was in Mount Road. So he said, let me go to a place called, so we moved to a place called Gopalapuram.
And you had siblings by then?
I had I had actually 1, 2, 3 sisters, but they all died when they were young. See, those days, the medical attention was, I don't think they caught the problems early enough, unfortunately.
Correct.
So all the 3 of them, unfortunately, were girls. So I was the only son for a short period of time. And then my younger brother was born.
Okay.
And he's no more, by the way. He died also when he was young. 18. When he was 18, he died. It was a great shock for my father.
Of course. Yeah.
So I ended up being the only son.
The only child in a
only child. My mother anyway came after my father's demise. And after I came here, she always stayed with us after my father's demise. We were in Calcutta for some time. I joined IBM in Calcutta. After I worked in, I'll go back. So after studying in Gopalapuram High School, then I joined Vivekananda College for my pre-university. And then I got engineering college admission in Coimbatore Institute of Technology. It was very attractive because the principal was a gentleman called P.R. Ramakrishnan, who was an MP, but he was educated at MIT in US. And he worked in US for 3 years. He wanted to know how engineers work in the US.
So that he can inculcate that here.
So very, very principled man, very nice man, not at all haughty or anything. And he started this institution. And then here the admission was very, in those days you have to apply individually for each. There was no common admission thing. Like these days you have one place you apply and they will interview you. And there you have to apply for individual colleges. So I applied for this Coimbatore Institute of Tech. It was just 2 years old at that time. There were other more ancient colleges. So there was a bit of a doubt whether is it worth going into that and so on. But my father spoke to one of his friends who was a principal of the government arts college there, Professor Krishnamurthy. He said, no, Ramakrishnan is a very far-sighted person, and he's an engineer himself, so you should not worry about that. But it was a little more expensive, the tuition fee, compared to the government colleges.
Yeah.
But my father, unfortunately, could afford. It's not an issue. Hostel again was like, my mother was not keen for me to go. She wanted me to. So I didn't even go to the interview at the Madras Engineering College because I got this admission, and then I didn't want to lose that. And also, I suspect half I wanted to be away from the home control. We all at some stage,
17, 18-year-old, that rebellious attitude.
You want to have a bit of more freedom, right? So I said, no, I will go ahead and stay in the hostel. I'll have my own pocket money and all that. So went to Coimbatore. Is a lovely place, beautiful weather, right? Compared to Madras, it's at 2,500 feet above mean sea level, correct? And very nice, very polite people compared to Madras, who are, I consider, use bad language.
Big city versus interior.
And so I went there, studied for 5 years. I did my electrical electronics engineering. Those days they didn't have much of a distinction. It was one you do.
The fact that they called electronics itself is interesting, because what I would hear is there would only be electrical,
mechanical,
civil, mechanical.
Exactly. But they had actually there was no electronics department as such at that time. But electronics was one of the subjects within, of course, electrical. So we studied that, and so during my school days, if that's of any relevance, I was encouraged to take part in all extracurricular activities.
I was about to come to that.
I was not very good at sports. I mean, I used to play cricket for the school, but other than that, because you are in one school team, they will always be getting into the soccer and all that. But I was not good at soccer and so on. But I was okay at cricket. So I used to play. I used to slow bowler as well as opening bat. So I did that, and then I did reasonably well in my school.
Anything else that attracted you, like maybe arts?
During the school, exactly. I was about to, thank God reminding me. In school, there was one teacher, Srinivasan. He was a actor in a drama troupe, Mylapore Fine Arts Club, which was, they used to put on boards dramas, Tamil dramas, of course. And he was a very handsome man. In fact, I remember, our school, boys' high school, was next to girls' high school.
Okay. So yours was a boys' high school.
The Gopalapuram boys' high school and Gopalapuram girls' high school, not far away. So I always used to see, he was a very handsome man. So he used to, so all these women teachers used to be hanging out for him. As I said, he used to act in dramas and so on. Actually, he had worked with somebody later who became very popular film actors. So they were all part of his drama troupe. Okay. Not his troupe, but he was part of that troupe.
Right. Okay.
So they used to do it. Very good actor. So he inculcated in us the love for doing dramas and also for elocution. So he used to tell us, take part in elocution contests. So I used to take part in elocution contests in our school, mostly in English. But in Tamil, I used to take part, but they were always much better. Not so much better, but some of the teachers I don't want to say they were anti-Brahmin or anything, but they were more preferential to the other people. So which is fine, nothing wrong. But English, obviously, there was no question. I will always win the prize. And so the Octogenarian had a very innovative thought. He said, let us start doing Shakespearean plays in school. Unheard of. Even in college, they don't do it easily because it demands a lot.
Too much to understand.
Yes, exactly.
But would he keep the plays as is, or would he kind of simplify it for the?
No. It's actual original play.
Wow. But so all those heavy dialogues.
Oh yeah, same thing. But we didn't do the whole play. We only took scenes from Shakespeare.
Right.
1 year we did Merchant of Venice. I acted as Portia. And another year we did Richard II. I was Richard II. And then the other time Julius Caesar, and I was Mark Antony. So I gave my Mark Antony speech.
You seem to get all the plum roles. So you were really good as an actor then.
No, it's because the teacher liked us. You know how it is.
Right.
So people have certain, I mean, there was no great opposition from anyone else.
Correct.
But obviously they would have felt, this bastard getting everything. Sorry for me.
So you remember any Mark Antony dialogues? What was your famous
Mark
dialogue?
Antony, friends, Romans and countrymen.
Yeah. So you had that, you knew all that.
That's
wow.
very nice speech. It's not a very long speech, about 12 minutes, 14 minutes speech.
Correct.
But see, those days you were able to memorize like that. You once, twice, thrice, and then it becomes automatic.
Correct.
And then this Octogenarian used to tell us, Srini, don't, how to memorize is very simple. When you're walking to school, making sure you don't get into accident, just repeat it in your mind, it will come to you easily.
Wow.
So, because you don't need any special.
It's like it's there somewhere in your brain. You just have to tap it, and the whole thing will start flowing.
You got it correctly. That's beautiful. So we did the Richard II 1 year, then 1 year Merchant of Venice, and another year we did Julius Caesar. No, remember this is a Tamil medium school, correct? In Gopalapuram. And it's not the convent, it is not grammar school, it's not.
But you're getting exposed to all this, and
because of the interest of this particular teacher, and our headmaster was also supportive. So we were able to do that. We were all surprised. Rajaji, you know Rajaji?
Yeah.
He actually came, presided over one of our annual day, and he was so impressed. So he gave me a special medal.
Because you got a medal from Rajagopalacharya?
Yes.
Wow.
Apart from, he said, your diction is very nice. I really liked it, the way you pronounce. So it was very unforgettable moments in school.
Memories
See, to get opportunities like that when you're in school,
correct,
was a good thing, and to be recognized also was very nice.
Did this continue in Coimbatore for you?
After school, I went to Vivekananda College for my pre-university. Vivekananda College was more, not Lila College was the more popular one, but Lila College was a bit distant from Gopalapuram. So my father said, why don't you go nearby somewhere? And Vivekananda College was seen as a Hindu college.
Okay.
More Hindus used to go there. I mean, not that others were prevented, but it is more, well, Lila College was more mixed up thing.
So this was the
1950s,
early 60s. Right. So was it very prevalent that time? Was India going in that direction of, because my barometer of how the country or the culture is sometimes is movies, right? I look at movies. So if you look at the movies of the 40s and early 50s, you probably would not see this, the so-called tension amongst the culture, so to say, or like, the Hindu, Muslim, Christian kind of thing. All this started coming a bit later.
I think so.
Was India that way growing up?
Your reading, I think I would agree with you, because I remember there was not any tensions at all where we lived, or even in Madras. And we used to be invited to the Muslim Ramzan functions. We used to be invited for a meal. And I remember one Ramzan dinner, that lady, Muslim lady, she was so conscious that we were Brahmins. She would say, see, I have washed my hands, and nice. I'm giving it to you, this food from my hand. So respectful. Correct. So I was so touched.
Correct.
I mean, she's such an elderly lady. For her to tell one this very small boy, correct. I'm taking care. I know you're a Brahmin, so I'm taking care of it. Anyway, I'm like
that is being, and I'm loving all this beautifully, because I mean, we probably did not touch upon, but your role as a multicultural minister, all these things are really helping build up that cultural aspect for you.
Absolutely, the tolerance.
Correct.
See, the understanding.
That's what you have seen growing up.
Correct. And there was a bit of an anti-Brahmin sentiment in those days, because DMK was just getting into power.
Right.
And Annadurai, who was their leader, was a fantastic speaker and a very, very honest man. So people had a lot of respect for him. And so the party was just growing up. There was a certain anti-Brahminism in that party to start with. I don't know whether it is still there. Maybe it is still there.
Probably multiplied.
Yeah. So it was a very, what I would call, a lot of things are fermenting.
Right.
And particularly the Georgetown area, that is the northern part of Madras, or the southern, or rather the other side, Mount Road and those things, they were the richer part of the town, where better houses and more privileged people used to be there, etc. Whereas Georgetown was more the old town.
Right.
So there were not many things. The houses used to be old.
Of course. Yeah.
All that stuff.
That's relatable in any city.
Any city, correct. So we moved out after my grandfather died. Then my father moved closer to his office, which is where. That's where I started this school in Gopalapuram, and then where I had this opportunity to go there. And then I went to Vivekananda College for my pre-university. And then I went to, during the pre-university, there were not much opportunities for us to do anything, because we were the new boys on the block. So nobody bothered about pre-university students. So it was very difficult for us to make our presence felt.
Correct.
Even to take part in a drama, we used to give them some, small, I used to tell them, I've acted in all this. They say, we'll give you some role, we'll give you some chaprasi role. And
oh man.
So I felt very bad, because all the elderly, not the elderly, the seniors.
Correct.
And they were all good actors, I'm not doubting that. But there was very little you can do as a first year student there in Indian college. So anyway, after that, after I finished pre-university, everybody said, My preference, well, my inner heart told me I should follow an arts path, history or English literature. Because I was told I was good at English. My headmaster used to.
Your grandfather's
The influence or whatever. So I was hesitating what I should do. But then one of my other teachers in the school said, "You got good marks, so go to engineering. You can always study literature outside, but you can't study engineering outside."
Correct.
So you better get engineering, you will get a good job, and then you can follow your interest in literature regardless.
Sound as well.
Which made sense. So I applied for engineering. Before those days, you had to apply for individual engineering colleges in Madras State. We didn't want to go much to Banaras Hindu University. Also, somebody said because Banaras in those days was supposed to be one of the premier engineering institutions. So I was wanting to apply, but then my mother said, no, don't go that far.
Not that far.
So I applied, and then I got in Guindy. I got the admission, but it came later than the admission which I had in Coimbatore. So which is where I went to Coimbatore. Coimbatore actually gave me without any interview. So which my father was wondering, is this worth going? Do they teach properly? So anyway, he made some inquiries and then found out it's a good college. Well, it was started by, as I told you, one Mr. Ramakrishnan.
Correct.
So he was a very well-respected industrialist. And so we went there. Very nice man. He gave a lot of freedom to us students. Because he studied in US. So he says, why should you close the hostel at 8 o'clock? Nonsense. You're all mature people. You're spending your father's money. If you're not responsible, who am I to stop you?
Right.
So very mature. So those people at all the other engineering colleges used to shut the gate at 7 o'clock and all that. But CIT, you can go to second show, come back at night, no worries. So we had a lot of freedom.
And you were all hostel students in
Yes, we were hostel students. So so it was a nice. Coimbatore is a pleasant climate compared to Madras.
Okay.
So I enjoyed the 5 years there, and then I did electrical. Electronics. They didn't have a separate electronics in those days.
Right.
One subject or two subjects electronics. All other subjects were electrical. But you still can call yourself electrical. We are really electrical. So I finished that, and then the question came up: do you want to go overseas for studies? But I was so fed up with exams every year, from school final, pre-university, pre-engineering, 4 years. So I can't take any more exams first. I need a break. So I didn't want to take up a master's or anything. I actually got admission into master's in Bangalore. Bangalore Institute of Science. They had
correct. So you had applied, or
I had applied because everybody said you have to apply. So I had to apply.
Yeah.
$7.50 postal order you have to attach to your application in those days.
Oh God.
For consideration of your application. Rupees 7.50. Money order or postal order.
Those are all important decisions to make, right? If you're putting that much, that's taken away from your pocket money. What do you do?
Yes. No, but we were reasonably well off. So I used to tell my mother, she says, fine, you can have it. So that was not so much an issue. But you're right, it was for some of my classmates, it was quite a thing. They had to decide how many applications they can send.
Correct. Absolutely. It's unlike, we are, it's so nice when you see here, my daughter is just completing year 12 this year. She goes to university next year. It's so simple. We were just telling her, you just choose your 8 universities and you automatically get invited. Whereas we would have to literally run to every university, get a form from there. As you rightly said, you have to then decide, how many do you want to apply, because you don't even know if you'll get it or not.
Exactly. And then you need to know somebody in those universities.
Correct. Who will make things happen.
When Vivekananda College that I applied, my school, one of my school, he was I was one of his favorites, one Ganesha here. He came and asked me, have you applied to Vivekananda College for your pre-university? I said, yes. But have you heard anything? No, come with me, I'll take you. So he took me, and the the principal was his classmate. So he went straight away, took me to the secretary, the principal. I said, you please take care of this boy. Yeah. So he took my number and that admission, whatever, that application number. And then he said, don't worry, you'll be all right. I mean, I would have got it anyway.
Correct.
He himself said that, but I thought it's...
but it helps, absolutely.
It helps a lot. So, and then I joined Vivekananda College. It was a very, very prestigious college in those days in Madras, particularly for non-Christians. Loyola College and Christian College were popular with the Christians.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just Christians, but they were the preferred ones. But the others would definitely go to other colleges, such as Vivekananda College. Loyola College also we used to go. I also got admission in Loyola College.
Right.
But it is far away from our house.
Right.
So we thought Vivekananda College was better. I used to take my bicycle and go. It's not that difficult. And we had very, very good professors. We had excellent professors. Because pre-university.
When you did pre-university, was it just 1 year?
Yes, it was 1 year.
Just 1 year.
School. What happened?
Up to year 11.
They were trying to change the school system so that you avoided a 2-year intermediate course. They used to have a course called intermediate. From school, you finish your higher secondary, then you go, or year 11 as used to be called in those days. Then you finish your 2 years intermediate, then you straight away get into a 3-year degree course. Right? But they wanted to change it. They wanted to get more for you in the school. So they made it year 11, and then so you straight away get into the degree course. So
engineering was 5 years in those.
Was 5 years in those, including the pre-engineering course. So you finish higher secondary school, rather school SSLC. That's how they used to call it. After that, you get into pre-university 1 year, and then pre-engineering 1 year. Then 4 years, the normal degree course.
So this has happened roughly in early 60s then when you graduated.
From 1957 to 62, I did my engineering. Then in Coimbatore, it's a lovely place, lovely weather, and we had a lot of freedom in that college, and we enjoyed that. Though it was not obviously the most prestigious college in Coimbatore or even in Madras State. Madras Engineering College was the best. And but we didn't care. We had a lot of freedom there. So that was a good thing. And we had good teachers, good professors, and
good friendships.
Good friendships, yes. Still, I got
still in touch with some friends.
Yeah, when I got a message from one of my friends there this morning, actually. It was very nice to be remembered. So I finished that, and then I was looking for a job. I was keen not to get settled in, not keen meaning I was not particular to get settled in, although my mother.
So you're still keen to get out. The 5 years wasn't enough. So you still wanted to be out.
I wanted to, no, also the opportunities in Madras. There were very few private sector companies where they would take an electrical engineer. Only English Electric was there, and General Electric, there were very few people, and they will all be mainly in sales. Whereas those days we were thinking that as an engineer you must first know a little more of engineering before you get into sales and that sort of thing, which was probably not the right thing to do. I don't know. Anyway, so I finished that, and then my father sent me to Bombay. You go to Bombay. IIT Bombay, I had interview for my master's, MTech. So I went there. I did that, but I didn't get selected because they had only 5 positions, and they had given preference to teachers. So if you have already been teaching in an institution, then you will be given preference for the master. So out of the 5, there were not many 5 positions. Only 4 were from already teachers, professors. So only one was an outside. One he was a brilliant. I mean, he was gold medalist from Roorkee or somewhere. So there is no way I could have compared. He was a brilliant boy. I could see that. So there was no way we were not in that class anyway. So I mean, I was an honest student, but not that class. So anyway, I didn't get. I was not too worried about it. I had a good time in Bombay. I had my few uncles there, and we used to visit, go to movies, and so I attended a lot of table tennis. I used to play table tennis for my college, by the way. Cricket I used to play, but I was not as good at cricket as I was in table tennis. Table tennis, I used to represent the college for many years.
Oh, nice.
And cricket, only in the last 2 years I got a chance to participate. And I used to open the batting, and first time when I played, my ball hit here. Fortunately, it didn't break and anything. So the physical instructor said, no, you cannot open the batting anymore. You go 3, 4 down, 5 down. I used to be also spin the ball a little.
Right.
So anyway, it was a nice time we had in Coimbatore. Nice people, good friends. Still, I'm in touch with a few of them.
So then IBM happens.
Then no, after that I applied, and then I made what I would call perfunctory attempts to study for masters, but my mind was not on that because I got admission into Bangalore in Institute of Science. I got admission for my masters and also in IIT Bombay. But I was I was finding some reason to I said enough of exams. Every year exams. I had done it for so many years. I said no. So anyway, I got so this was good. Then I was applying. My father had inculcated in me a desire that you should serve the country in as far as possible in some of the public sector institutions. Like the steel plants which were started by the government, or Heavy Engineering Corporation, or even in Madras State Lignite Corporation,
BHEL and
BHEL, exactly. Bangalore BHEL. So he says, if you think you can get there, it'll be good, because the government has given you help in getting your degree indirectly. So we should give back. I could see he was driven by principles.
And those were different days as well. So yeah, totally.
But not many people bothered about all that. But my father was very keen. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I applied for it, and then meanwhile, Hindustan Steel had given an advertisement. They usually come later than like September or October. I went to Bombay. I told you for IIT Bombay interview. I didn't get it because the people who were selected were going to be teaching stuff, so they gave a preference, which makes sense.
Correct.
So I was not too worried about it because I wasn't keen to study further anyway at that time. And then I looked for a job. If you got an offer at Voltas, there used to be a company called Voltas.
You're still there.
And so I was going to I'm thinking of that. And then meanwhile, my mother said, why don't you come here and look for a job here itself? So I came back, but in the event I ended up going to Ranchi. Well, the interviews for the Hindustan Steel, in the Heavy Electrical Corporation, Heavy Engineering Corporation, they were all there. So not Heavy Electrical is in Bhopal. Heavy Engineering Corporation and Hindustan Steel were headquartered in Ranchi.
Okay.
So I went there. Ranchi weather was such a beautiful weather. It's a hill station.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Dhoni comes from there.
Correct. No, I didn't realize it's a hill.
It's a hill place. Very beautiful, very lovely weather. So I said, if I get it here, I should come here. It's a nice place. But it's a bit far away from Calcutta.
Everything, correct.
So coming back to Madras would be quite you have to come to Kharagpur, and from Kharagpur you have to. So that was that. And then then when I was there in Ranchi, I attended this interview for Hindustan Steel. At that time, they had a common interview for any of the 4 steel plants, plus a new plant, alloy steels plant was being started.
Okay.
With Canadian technical know-how and Japanese collaboration for equipment. First time they had a collaboration with Japan for supply of equipment. Because India always, at that time at least, felt that Japanese technology was not on par with the Western technology, which was probably prejudiced, but maybe some truth in it. I can't say at this distance. So I said, fine. I was joined this alloy steels plant. They had a collaboration with a Japanese consortium of companies, and as part of their training program, I was sent to TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company.
Where was this? In
Jamshedpur. Tata Iron and Steel Company is one of the best training programs for engineers in those days.
This was your first job then,
This was my first job, exactly. Before my first job, the training was there. Hindustan Steel had also a training program, but TISCO training was supposed to be very, very good, very good. And so I was thinking how to do that. I was in Jamshedpur for a short while. Before they decided on this, they sent us there for a what do you call them? Not an internship, a preparatory course or something like that. So I was there for 6 weeks. And very, very nice course. And Jamshedpur is a beautiful place. And I had a lot of friends and relatives there.
The whole thing is so green, hilly.
Yes. So it was nice time I had there. I spent 9 months there training on behalf of Alloy Steels plant. Alloy Steels plant chose me. And then Alloy Steels was attractive because there was this carrot dangling that you will be sent to Japan for training. So at that time, that was, not a big
going overseas,
but it was still, So I joined, and then I was sent to Japan for training. Spent quite a good time, made many good friends.
Where did you go?
Learned a lot of technology-wise, new technologies.
Where in Japan did you go?
I still have friends in Japan.
I know, but where did you go?
Mainly it was in Hitachi City.
Okay.
And for a short while in Mitsubishi in Kyoto. Is it going on?
Good, yeah.
For a short time in Osaka, Mitsubishi, but mostly in Hitachi's thing. I still have good friends from Hitachi. They're all old. Some of them are, gone, but very lovely memories there. And Hitachi is a small town.
Yeah.
It's an industrial town. Very nice place. And the most popular meeting place was obviously there used to be a bar, Bell Bar it was called. The name was Bell. Everybody meet there in the evening. And
they're very...
so very nice people. And there are a lot of regard for India. Very strange, one gentleman who told me when he was having a drink, he was saying, we have a lot of respect for Indians because Buddhism came from India. So it must be a good
place, kind of thing, right? Yeah.
See, very, it was
strange connections, like how culturally people start getting aligned.
Yes. So I was very happy at the same time. Do we deserve this respect? Sometimes you wonder, but it was very nice. He was an elderly gentleman. He was not. He was actually the principal of the middle school in Hitachi City. Okay. So I wanted to see the middle school, visit. So he facilitated that. So I went there, spent half a day there.
How long were you there in Japan?
I was in Japan for about 10 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
And then It was a very interesting experience with the one.
How did you manage the language?
We had a 5-week conversational Japanese learning course.
Oh, you did that
at the beginning. The government, the organizing authority. There was it was a government of India, government of Japan thing, because I was part of Hindustan Steel, Steels. So we had a 5-week course of conversational Japanese. Not much writing, just the basic things. We couldn't read a newspaper, for example.
Yeah, but at least get your work done.
But you can speak and you can get.
You still can?
Yeah, I can still speak Japanese.
Oh, that's very nice.
Not much, but I still remember the key. But when I was there, I was quite reasonably fluent.
Of course, yeah.
So, but now
in the smaller cities that you go to, you have no other option.
Yes,
and that's where some of these, meeting at the pubs or all that helps.
Yes.
Because as you get the local lingo.
Correct.
Right?
And also you make some very lasting friendships.
Correct.
I still get cards from some of my friends in Japan, but they're all very old.
Did you visit Japan again after that?
I went after joining IBM. IBM had its 100% club. I don't know if you know about 100% club. 100% club is in IBM. If you are in sales marketing,
meet your numbers.
If you meet your numbers, then you're sent to one of these places for a 3-4 days
vacation.
So sort of. So there, I went there at that time. It was very nice.
Wonderful.
And of course, I've also been successful in IBM in the sales marketing. They've got what is called the Golden Circle, which is the top of the salesmen of that year in the country. They get selected. Like if there are 100 people who did well, who did the 100% club, as they call it, then they will choose about 10% or less than that to go to what is called a Golden Circle.
Wow.
Which should be in another place. Like one year it was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Another time it was in Acapulco. So I was fortunate to be selected to.
So maybe that's a good segue to get there. So how long were you in the steel company and how did IBM happen?
See, I was in, let me, chronologically, India, alloy steels plant, I had a contract with them for 4 years or 5 years, after training 4 years. So I finished that training. Meanwhile, my father also died at that time.
Sorry to hear.
And before that, my younger brother died, 18-year-old boy. Very, very, very sorrowful situations with my mother. And I had a small sister who was at that time 6 years old. So I had to bring my mother and my sister to Durgapur, where I was working in alloy steels plant. So I became a sort of a father much earlier in my life.
Yeah.
But it is okay. It's all God's gift. So we can't question all that. So that is how my period in Durgapur was over. Then I applied for jobs outside thing. I was thinking of going outside to US, Canada. I got visa to Canada. Those days it was easy to go to Canada.
Correct.
But then my mother said, you're not getting married. If you go now, it'll be, I don't know when. So you postpone it, let's finish the marriage and then you can go. Then when I got married, I got the job in IBM in Calcutta.
So they were both at the same time?
Actually, I got the offer in January and our wedding was in April.
Sorry, what year are we talking about?
1970.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And unfortunately, Indira's father, he died 3 weeks before the marriage day. So we had to postpone it.
Yeah.
So we did that in July. So, but that's okay.
So it's 55 years running now. Wow. Amazing.
God bless.
Absolutely.
So that was how my Calcutta, Durgapur was okay. But Durgapur was not very satisfying.
Durgapur is also West Bengal, right?
It's West Bengal,
right.
But very militant unions. Trade unions were very, very militant. And West Bengal, they had an ambition to be the Ruhr of India.
The what of India?
The Ruhr. Do you know RUHR? Ruhr. In Germany, Ruhr is supposed to be the industrial valley.
Oh, right.
The industrial conglomerate. Everything is there in that valley. So they wanted to make it the Ruhr of India.
India, okay. The whole of West Bengal, you mean?
No, the West Bengal chief minister, he had this ambition to make Durgapur as the centerpiece.
Oh, just Durgapur.
Durgapur, because there were lots of plants. There was a Durgapur steel plant, and then there were Durgapur chemicals, and then there were ACC Vickers Babcock, the boiler making people.
Oh, right, okay.
So there were quite a number of big companies and government instrumentalities were there. So it was quite a complex.
All gone now, isn't it?
So it's all there, but I don't know whether they're prospering. I've not been in touch with them, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I think, I've never been to West Bengal, but you're just looking at it in terms of how things are right now.
Yeah.
It's probably known for all the wrong reasons than the right ones.
I know, you're right. But even then, West Bengal was on the decline because trade unions became too strong.
Correct.
So
with the Communist Party,
so they didn't realize the damage they are causing to the economy.
Correct.
So that is the communist-oriented philosophy.
But how was it? There was some other things also happening in Bengal around that time frame, isn't it?
Yes,
whole, I don't know geographically whether you were impacted by the whole Bangladesh liberation and all that.
Bangladesh was kind of, I by that time come to Calcutta. We were living there at that time.
Okay.
Not from Durgapur. So Bangladesh was reasonably peaceful and everybody accepted it. I don't think there was big drama as far as
in Calcutta, you did not see much challenge at all.
Yes.
Whatever was happening in the Bangladesh.
Yes, in Dhaka, those places. So in Calcutta, there was a general sense of welcoming this move for them to have their own autonomy.
Correct.
So it was quite that way it was quite nice.
But how long were you in West Bengal collectively?
West Bengal at that time, it was just moving from Congress to communist. So there were a lot of fears expressed whether they will smash the economy, which they did actually. The economy went down because they wanted to give a lot of rights to the unions. Unions became too strong. So there was a lot of damage done to the industry at that time. But later it has picked up.
Jyoti Basu had come.
Jyoti Basu, exactly. Jyoti Basu was there at that time, was the chief minister. He was a very smart man. He was not unsmart. But politics is politics. So
culturally, how was that experience? They are also another extremely culturally rich society.
Oh yeah, Calcutta. I loved Calcutta because there was so much variety and they were far more tolerant than people give them credit for. People think that Bengali very, very inbound and they don't look outside and all that. But once you start admiring their culture, then they are very open. They will embrace you.
Correct.
But if you don't say good things about Bengali things, then they don't know how to do with you, how to deal with you.
I don't know if you watched a recent movie called Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani.
Yes, I saw that.
You watched that movie?
Yes.
I thought that it's obviously stereotypical to the core.
Yes.
But well represented.
Well represented. Absolutely, yeah. I like it. You're right. Lots of truth in what that picture
what the movie showed. Yeah.
Very true.
So with the Durga Puja, you had all that experience there.
Yes. Durga Puja is a great event in Calcutta.
Yeah. It's on my bucket list.
You should go during Durga Puja. Is fantastic images they make. There is a place called Kumarthuli in Calcutta where they make these Kali images. Absolutely brilliant artists or artisans. And you feel so sad to throw it out into the Hooghly River.
Same thing with Ganpati, in Maharashtra.
Yes, Ganpati, correct, exactly. Such lovely statues and such lovely images.
And even if you keep for 11 days, Durga Puja is always 9 days, so that's but Ganpati, you have varying, right?
Right.
So if you keep for 11 days, at least you'll still be happy that I've seen the Ganpati.
Yes.
Many of them will be like 1.5 days, that's it. You have put so much money into getting the murti, it's looking so beautiful. And that night you just won't put it in water.
Correct. But that's how culture is. That's what is the whole philosophy of life,
Yeah, and when you look at it in a different way, I'm probably not going to go in the direction of what it does to environment for a minute, but economy-wise, it's pretty huge, right? The boost that it gives the economy at that time.
And the people got very fulfilled.
Correct.
Those 10 days in Calcutta, there was so much joy around. Everybody will be there. There won't be any theft or anything of that kind. No, ladies used to wear all their gold jewelries and go in trams at 2 o'clock at night. The custom there is to visit all the pandals.
As many as you can.
As many as the Kali Puja pandals.
Correct.
So they will go, all the pandal visit is very big thing for them. At night they will all go, no problems.
Correct.
Nobody can touch them. So very safe city at that time. So Calcutta was a very nice experience. I like Calcutta because of basically they are more culturally sensitive people.
Yeah.
Unlike some other states. Even Madras, for example. Tamil Nadu. They are very narrow-minded, whereas the West Bengal man is, so long as you admire Bengali culture,
that is a prerequisite.
Then they are open, which is true, which is natural.
And IBM took you there, is it? So you were there for how long?
So after graduation, I went to Ranchi for the interview. Then I was selected for Ala Seeds Plant, Durgapur. I spent a few months there. I spent my training in Jamshedpur, TISCO. They sent me for training there. That was another wonderful period of good training. Jamshedpur steel training, there's nothing to beat TISCO for training. You learn everything about steel making and about the things necessary for it to keep going. How to keep it productive. How electrical people are helping, mechanical people are helping, chemical people are. Very, very nice experience. And Jamshedpur is a lovely city, and it's a small city.
Correct.
So I enjoyed that 10 months training there. And then I had, of course, some friends and relatives there, of course. And then I came back to Durgapur. Then I was sent to Japan for training.
Correct.
With the alloy steels plant equipment.
So in 10 months
Mitsubishi, they were supplying the equipment. So we had to go there. We are partly inspectors of the equipment to sign off on the specifications, all that, whether it meets. But at the same time, we were also getting trained in how to use that equipment or all that stuff. So I had a very good time there. Learned the Japanese language, conversational Japanese for 5 weeks and in Tokyo. And then we were sent to Hitachi. city where we went to the various factories where equipment were being manufactured. So we were there with that at that time, and we did a bit of an inspection sort of thing. Although our level of knowledge was not enough to really find holes in that. I mean, we knew something glaringly obvious, then we would pick it up.
Correct.
But not the technicalities inside and all that. Because we were young, we were not senior engineers.
Of course.
But we were the only ones there to sign off on behalf of Indian government. How they lost this plan.
Wow. That must be...
So we had a good time there. They took good care of us because we were kind of, we had to get the signatures from us. So very nice experience. And the Japanese experience is, I consider very, very dear to my heart, very rare also.
See, and also the stage at which it came, right? Because it's...
When you are young, you are very impressionable.
Correct. And this is the right impression to have.
Correct. So when I went there, they were all very polite. There was a certain amount of superficiality, one can argue. But they were all genuinely trying to be nice to you. They didn't want to put you in a disadvantage or anything. And everything was so nice. One of my best periods of stay was in Japan.
And one thing I'm observing, sir, in a way, life is guiding you through all this. But it is consistently guiding you into places with rich culture.
Yes,
diverse culture, but rich culture.
Absolutely, right? That's a great blessing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Instead of getting into countries where there is a lot of intolerance.
And we'll get to that point because culture, it's very difficult to define culture. So we'll get to that point. But when you look at all these in India, for example, if you talk of Tamil culture, obviously probably one can argue which came first, but definitely one of the oldest,
most ancient.
Extremely ancient. Then you move into probably the Calcutta, which in the modern Indian perspective at least is one of the most advanced cultural states.
Correct.
I would definitely agree.
Very true, very true.
Then you go to Japan, which again is very ancient and have seen a lot of cultural things that they have observed. I mean, the fact that they say that they
cultural shifts.
Yeah, they took Buddhism. It shows that how they as a culture have evolved.
Correct.
But you see that distinct culture again.
Yes.
And then of course we'll come to Australia, which has no culture in that sense, and therefore multiculturalism becomes important. But I still want to just go to that point of how did IBM happen, because that's in a corporate world, that's a very different experience.
Okay, what happened?
IBM culture again is very different.
See, when I was in Durgapur, there was a contract we had for 5 years or something in training. So we were, a lot of people left without paying the whatever 20,000 rupees was the contract money if you leave earlier than 5 years. So
that's a long time.
But we were being paid, in the from the second year onwards, we were well paid, and we were earning 900 rupees per month, which was very good in those days. Starting salary was
490,000 is
490 was the starting salary. And then over 2-3 years, you will become the next grade.
Correct.
And you will earn including DNS allowance. You know the DNS allowance.
Yeah, of course.
So that was DA. So 900 rupees was the salary which you will get after 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So it was a comfortable life. They have a wonderful quarters.
Yeah, of course.
And very clean atmosphere, apart from if you're living far away from the steel plant.
Correct, of course.
And the townships were far away. So it was a comfortable living. My mother loved that place. For some time she lived with us. My younger sister, I told you, my father died young, so she was 6 years and my father died. So
she was the youngest.
So then we brought her up from Madras to be with us in Durgapur. At that time, we were not married to Indira. So Indira got married in 1970. So she was there with us at that time. And then Indira took her as her own daughter and we brought her up. Then we got her married. She's in Bangalore now. My sister.
Your sister.
Much younger sister. So where were we? So in terms of the changes, there have been quite a lot of changes which took place. And fortunately, we were able to come on top in most of the cases. And then your question about how you decided to come to Australia.
And IBM,
Yes. Okay. In Durgapur, when we were there, we used to, advertisements used to come. So I didn't apply for it till my contract was going to be over. I didn't want to break the contract and go.
Right.
Some people broke the contract, never paid the money and all. I didn't want to do that. So we finished my thing for 4.5 years or whatever. And then 1970, I applied for it. There was an advertisement, I applied for it and I was selected. And I was selected for a sales job, but I could not get relieved from my government job for 3 months because they had some lousy personnel department fellow. He said, no, you have to give 3 months. I said, I'll pay you 3 months salary because that's part of the contract. He said, no, we want you to be here. You can't just go like this, you plant maintenance, all this, So I said, okay, let's not. So I went and told IBM. They said, I can't join this sales job now. They said, well, you see, unfortunately, our sales school is only once a year. And if you miss this year, then it will be only next year. But we will give you a job because we have given you a letter of appointment. We will give you a job, but it won't be in the sales job. It will be more sales support.
Okay.
Which is what's the systems engineering thing.
Correct.
I said, I not that I knew much of a difference between the two at the time. I said, take it, whatever it is, I'll take it. So I came and then finished the 3 months here, then went to Calcutta. At that time, I was not married. I got married after 4 months after I joined IBM.
Okay.
Then I settled my mother and my little sister in Calcutta. We took a small flat. And then we got married in South India in a place called Tirupattur, which is in North Arcot district.
Okay.
Between Madras and Bangalore, there's a place called Jolarpet.
Okay.
So this place is very close to Jolarpet.
Is that where Indira ji
That's
comes
where
from?
Indira comes from.
Okay.
So we got married there, and then she came to live with us in Calcutta.
Big change for her.
Big change for her. From a small town. Not
to
even Madras, by the way.
Correct.
Not even Chennai.
Correct. From a small town in Tamil Nadu to a completely foreign land in a way.
And the language is different, and habits are different, and marketplace you can't understand what they're talking in Bengali. So, and she didn't know much Hindi either at that time.
Right.
But she was very resilient.
That's the exact word I had in mind. Like that.
Very
A lot of resilience
and
to.
willing to learn. Willing to. And
Since you said that, did she learn Bengali as well? Or in the
yeah, I
process?
mean, you have to. I mean, only spoken Bengali.
Correct.
She didn't have to learn to read and write. Probably she could read some, but I don't know.
She probably would have read more than you, I would assume.
Yes.
She would be in the market side.
Yes, exactly. And so, 1970, I got married in August, and the postponed marriage, and then we settled down in Calcutta. Then we got our first child, Priya, in 1972, 2 years after wedding. And then my son Shyam was born in 1975, and then I was working there till 1979-80. But there was always there was a concern at that time that IBM may be forced to leave India because Morarji Desai's government had very strict policies about foreign government. They had to have 51% local participation, and IBM at that time. Up to a time, they were not willing to consider that. So we were all planning to, go someplace else.
Quit and
Either go to US or
through IBM.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, IBM. IBM said you come there, we'll give you a job. But we were not so much worried about it. The fact that you had to uproot again and go, that was what was the thing. And then my mother was saying that was an opportunity for us to go back to Madras. Why not we find a good job there? Actually, I got a job in Shah Wallace.
Okay.
So they gave me a good job there.
I've heard the name about it.
Shah Wallace, basically they're into fertilizers and also in wines, whiskey, all that stuff. They make all those produce. So it's a very rich company.
Of course,
English company.
big name.
Big English company. Sardarji was the IT manager or IT executive at that time.
Oh, okay.
So I met him in Madras and he liked me. He says, you come, aja. I said, I'll see, Then I had at that time itself thinking, is this the time for me to make the move?
So make a move and make a big move.
Yeah, I was wanting to, at that time, decide, we had always had the ambition to go overseas, not for anything else, not for the life there as such, but I always wanted to see other countries in the world,
Right.
which I felt with my Indian salary, at that time, I felt I could not afford, which is probably not true. Over
But
time,
it wasn't that easy either, right? I mean, I think for international travel was pretty cumbersome in those days.
Yes, very, and also it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so I was not very sure. I had not done my arithmetic. If I had worked it out, you would have found that after 10, 15 years, you would have enough to travel the world. But anyway, that apart. So I said, so this is a good opportunity, so let's do it. So that's how I applied for US. US, I got the visa, but then there was some restriction on the quarterly entitlements. They have only certain number of visas every quarter.
Right.
So this guy in Delhi wrote to me, or I spoke to her. She said, this quarter is over, so you will be in the next quarter. And then Canada gave me a visa right away.
Right.
And then Australia, one of my friends who was in Australia, he says, yeah, why do you want to go all those places? They're all very cold places. You have to really shovel snow for 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year. Australia, Aram, very nice.
Yeah.
They play cricket. You understand cricket?
Correct.
And the weather is nice, very similar to ours. Not too hot, not too cold. And
your friend was here in Melbourne.
people is good. People are good. He was in Sydney actually.
Sydney.
I was to have gone to Sydney. And then
That's what I was thinking when you said weather is nice. I was like, where in Australia does he live exactly? He cannot be
when I
Melbourne.
say weather, what I meant by that,
At least no snow.
yes. You don't have to shovel snow. So I was going to go to Sydney, but then before I left, I met one of my uncles, who was just to say bye to him as a family. Then he said, where are you going? He said, I don't know where you are going. You've got enough property in Madras. You've got a house. You've got other things. And your mother is here, little sister. You are married. You've got a child. So what are you lacking? Why do you want to go there? It's not the money that you... So then I said, I didn't want to go to a logic of him. I said, no, we have decided to go. So
Opportunity, yeah.
He said, okay, no point in arguing, Correct. So then he said, okay, if you must go. My daughter is there in Melbourne. Where are you going? He said, I was going to Sydney, where one of my friends would have helped us. He said, no, go to Melbourne. Kalyani is there. So, but finished. Melbourne was decided. So I always think that big decisions in life happen like this. Sometimes made on very, very minor grounds.
Correct.
But anyway, so we came here and we stayed with her for a few weeks. And then she and her husband, he got a job in university in Buffalo, US. He was a professor at Monash University.
Okay.
So they both went there. So we kind of almost moved into their apartment flat.
Okay.
In Mount Beverly, and then we settled down here. So far so good.
And it was IBM only that got you?
No, so when I came here, I approached IBM. IBM said, absolutely no problem, join. But we can't take you as a manager because you don't have the usual excuse, local experience. I mean, management is management. I mean, what is the correct? Sure, cultural differences are there. I'm not questioning it. There is a merit in what he said. So he says, do something for some time, then we'll do. So I joined as a systems engineer, which was 2 steps below
what happened in India as well anyway.
Yeah, and then I finished this, and then I was made a manager in 6-7 months, and then I became a marketing manager, and then I became an industry executive, and then there was service business started in IBM, so I was part of that services business, and then in 2002, after overall 32 years of experience combined in India and here, I chose to retire. I said enough. I was 62 at that time. So I said, this okay, enough, no point in keeping on going, the same thing.
Absolutely.
Meeting quota, everything, meeting customers, some of them are not all that desirable customers, but you have to do it. What do you do? So I said, enough, it's okay, God's grace, we are able to live on that. So I retired in 1962, and then
at the age of 62 in 2002.
Yes. Okay. So 2002, correct. And then I wanted to give always something back to the community. It has always been there in our family. My father also was like that. I wanted to give something back to the community. How do you do that? So I was looking for opportunities. Some of the Indian associations were helpful, so I could do something with them. But I didn't want to get into any official position, president, vice president, all that stuff. More like a volunteer, but on a project basis. So I used to help some of these local associations in helping. And but they were all very reluctant to take me as a volunteer because you have held such high positions. How can we tell you to go and pick those tables and chairs and bring here? That sort of hesitation.
Correct.
So I said, no, here I'm a volunteer. Don't bother about what I did in the past.
Correct.
But they had this mental block. So anyway, I could help as well as I can. So that is how my working career finished. And then I started doing this. Then there was an opportunity to work as a volunteer in an organization called the East West Foundation, where this organization is here, but its main function is to help abandoned girls in India, in South India, to have a home, education, and then get married, all that stuff.
In India,
very close to Madras, 100 miles from Madras. 100 kilometers.
It's like a home where you...
It's a home, and then they go to school, they give them bicycles and all that.
Correct.
So that was a good institution started by one Dr. Chandran. So I was very impressed with him, very honest man, sincere person. So I said, I'll join you and help. He said, yes, you can join. And then we used to go and help, we did some work there during holidays, visited their place, and then helped those young girls go to the schools there and trying to help the schools. The principal wanted a few things. So he wanted some urinals to be built because there's no urinal for women, which is so sad, which is so bad, So we said, no, we'll fix it. So we came back and got some money, sent it back to them. So things, a little thing, not that I did great things, but little small things like that, to the extent I could help. And but it was always good it was a good feeling that you're able to help somebody else.
Correct.
People who are in need.
Before we go there, I just want to take a small pause and go back. One other important incident happened in India in the time frame when you were in Calcutta, right?
Yes.
Which is the emergency.
Yes.
Now, I'm asking this from the perspective of Calcutta again, right? Because Calcutta, I would still like to see as a fairly progressive state. And at that time, given that they had also become that communist or whatever, how was living through emergency in those days, or in what way did it impact a common man, if at all?
See, we were probably the better off people, so we didn't face it too much. And where we were was in South Calcutta, which is slightly better off location, less susceptible to problems, people coming and gundas coming and all that stuff. So we were sort of somewhat, I would say, not isolated, but somewhat protected, if you like. But it was bad, I can tell you. In some areas in North Calcutta, it was really bad, and lots of people lost their lives and property, etc. Not in a huge way, but small pockets, and so it was quite a difficult thing for people to assume. But what I found, the average Bengali in those days, at least, I mean, if I'm using the word average, I don't mean it in a derogatory way, the common Bengali, he was quite easily persuaded that is the way to go, because the Congress government,
as in the emergency, is the way to go. And,
yes. So though the maybe a bit extreme, but that's the way to go. But they are anyway. They're left of center to start with. So it was easy to be convinced that we need a revolutionary path, or a path which is not necessarily.
So thank you for sharing that insight. I have only always heard of emergency and the whole thing around it. And my father passed away. I wouldn't say young, but he passed away about 18 years ago. And I couldn't really spend much time with him in my adult life where I could discuss such things with him.
It's very sorrowful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm sure you lived through the same.
Yeah, I had, my father died when he was 51.
Correct.
Which was relatively young.
Very young.
And I couldn't spend much time with him after school.
Correct.
And college, first year college, because we went to Coimbatore for engineering, and then I went to work. So I always felt I didn't have enough of him to support him when he was unwell. My mother had to take care of him, and when my mother felt unwell, and then my younger brother had to bear the brunt. And he died when he was 18 years old, which was a big shock to all of us.
Correct.
When people say he just couldn't bear the not the physical work, but the mental pain. My mother was ill at that time.
Oh my God, okay.
She was bedridden.
What caught on him.
And my father was also not well. He was a chain smoker. My father.
Okay.
So he had chronic bronchitis.
Okay.
And he used to fall sick very often at that time. And then he, at that time, his company actually was going through a lot of changes, and he felt it was wise for him to leave because of the new management were not conducive to the old principles of the company. So he was also, probably a bit disturbed mentally
from that perspective,
and so that affected his health, because he had a chronic bronchitis, as I mentioned, from young age. So that hit him, and then he died when he was only 51.
Oh man, yeah.
So my mother and my sister. My sister was 6 years old at that time. So I had to bring them to Durgapur, where I was working in the alloy steels plant.
Correct.
So my mother used to say, "You have a family without getting married."
I'm sorry if I brought some of these memories back.
No, it's important to understand the whole.
But in a way, I think you can also relate to the point that you also did not get to spend that kind of time with your father.
Correct.
He would be more free and able to spend time
as a friend.
Correct. So I miss that as well, and I know that Dad would have loved. He had a plethora of knowledge about all this, and I would have enjoyed having this kind of world politics or these kind of conversations with him.
Absolutely.
When I am a bit more mature to understand it.
Correct.
But anyways, it didn't. So that's why I was just curious to understand, what was the world view at that time, because we hear
at that time, from the young age, we knew that because we are coming from a fairly well-read family. My grandfather being a professor, and my father also was. He did his honors in Christian College. History and economics, and then he did his law degree, and then he did a diploma in political science, and then he somehow didn't get through the civil service exams in those days. I think he was 21 or something rank, but they only chose 19 people. So my grandfather's brother used to say, if only they had given two more seats, he would be the king. That's all. But those days it was almost like a king.
Yeah.
So the whole district is under your
jurisdiction.
But anyway, that's a long story. We can't worry about that.
Yeah.
So my father then joined the publishing company called. Those days it was called Longman's Green and Company.
Correct.
Which is an English publishing company, well respected. Prestigious company, but not very rich company. Because it's a book publishing,
correct.
And they are not huge in scale or anything. So he joined there as assistant manager, and then he worked in Calcutta for a while in the patents office.
So he was also in Calcutta.
Yeah, after he got married in 1939, and then he was in Calcutta for a few years with his wife, and with my so he was there for a few years. But then the Calcutta weather didn't suit him, and he had already been a smoker for a long time from his college days, which was such a
Bad,
insidious habit. But what did he do? So he had bronchitis, chronic bronchitis. So he was very sick. So they had to come back to Madras, and then he didn't have a job. So he was obviously got into depression, but nothing affected the family or anything. But people used to be very sorry to see him.
Correct.
And then there was one Ayurvedic doctor called Dr. Sri Hari. I don't know if you've heard of him. Those days he was very well known. Very nice gentleman. He, one of my father's uncles knew him well. So he said, you please take care of him. So I remember, this was in 1947 I'm talking. On the Independence Day, I remember we were all given, the Indian flag. And we were in his house. I mean, there was an outhouse.
You have memories of this? Memory of this?
Sri Hari was a very, very well-respected Ayurvedic doctor. He was a remarkable man. Patients used to come. So he will just hold this, and then he will say, "Bas, I'll give you medicine."
Correct.
So we are wondering what's happening, and he said he's having cancer. I said, but how did you find out from this?
That's a skill.
So
there used to be some
very
Ayurvedic doctors in. I mean, I still till date can't understand how they did it, but they would hold. Let's say you have gas, right? So they would hold some part of your body in a certain way. I can still relate to if they are doing some acupressure where you, as a person who's suffering, lets out the gas.
Okay.
This is not that. He is touching here. The doctor is letting out like some kind of a burp of sorts, and you feel free from the gas that you have. I have till date not understood how that transfer of gas happens.
Remarkable, isn't it?
but I've seen that happen live, and okay. Anyways, we are diagnosing in a big way. But since you mentioned Ayurvedic doctor and you talked about touching the pulse,
it's interesting. I'm interested. It's very nice.
It's very nice, isn't it? I mean, I can understand acupressure. I can understand that you touch certain parts of the body. If I am feeling bloated, I relieve the gas in some way, whichever way, right? Burp or whatever. How is it transferring to you?
Correct.
And how are you letting it out and I am feeling stress-free? I'm not... Probably a conversation with an Ayurvedic doctor.
It's very interesting. So my father, actually Sri Hari, Dr. Sri Hari, he used to write articles in Tamil magazines on Ayurveda for all small, all cures, etc. And then he became a good family friend of ours. And we stayed in his house, he had an outhouse. My mother and she used to cook for my father and all that. He was not very keen. He had not a servant, one of his distant nephews was his man Friday. He used to do all things for him. So he used to do cooking, etc. So when my mother went there and cooked, Sri Hari was very happy that he was getting good food. So I remember, nice. That was on the day of the independence. We were at his house. This house, it was a clinic, but it was very nice man. He was very attached to my father because of his bronchitis condition. He used to tell him give up smoking, but he never gave up smoking. So with the result, my father died young when he was 51.
Correct.
Of chronic bronchitis. So that is when my young sister was 6 years old.
Right.
And we were in Madras in Lloyd's Road, fairly very large, commodious house. So we said, I was in Durgapur at that time, working in Lloyd's Steel's plant.
Correct.
So after graduation, I told you I went.
Yeah, you went. We spoke about
Japan, and then so I took him. We had the large quarters. That's one good thing about
government job.
Big. So
especially if you're of my officer level and
I was at that time. They call it foreman, but this actually what it means is senior engineer.
Correct. So you're at a senior position.
You join as a junior engineer, and the next position they call it foreman.
Okay.
But that's actually you control a few engineers. That's
right.
And a nice place. Alloy Steel's plant is clean, unlike a regular steel plant in Durgapur. You don't get dirty when you come out of the steel plant.
Right.
Because the inputs are all alloys, scrap alloys. So you put the alloys into the furnace,
is the difference.
Electric furnace. So no gas, coal, nothing. Clean it comes. And the electric furnace were made in Japan. So we also got trained in Japan.
Correct.
So anyway, so that plant was a nice.
So I think I digressed in that direction. But we had reached Melbourne. We had talked about you getting into the cultural aspect.
Yes.
I would really be keen to understand, with this kind of a rich cultural background that you have, and the fact that in a retired life you were trying to look at. I want to understand from you that what is this department or this what's the right way to call it? This agency that the government has created. Coming from places like India, multiculturalism sometimes happens, or we are creatures of our culture, we are creatures of our habit. We live in a shell in a way.
Correct.
But here we are, where they are consciously trying to export they're trying to say that, encourage multiculturalism.
Correct.
Encourage is the right term. help us understand this mindset of the government. What is it that they're trying to achieve?
You have to go back a little in the Australian, or at least the Victorian history. See, Australia is a country of migrants, as you know. So, they were mainly from West Europe, but the attitude was one of, I would call, relatively open-minded friendliness.
Okay.
They were not as narrow-minded as sometimes you find in some American states. I'm not saying all. Some places where there is.
I've lived 8 years, so I can relate to.
So you can understand that. So that was one of the reasons why in Australia, if any place where there is multiculturalism operating well, I would say it's in Australia. The next place I would say would be Canada.
And when you say Australia, are there, my ignorance, apologies, but are there similar departments in New South Wales, Queensland, everywhere, or Victoria is a pioneer?
They have a similar department, but I understand they are not as active as in Melbourne.
As in
Victoria is the most active for multiculturalism.
Beautiful.
And probably there are more what I would call strong voices for multiculturalism from the multicultural communities in Victoria compared to New South Wales. But again, I say take it with a pinch of salt. I don't know much about the politics in New South Wales. But from what I read, what I hear in magazines and all that, there doesn't seem to be any active voice or active participation in the community for this. There's no appetite for that. Whereas in Victoria, there seems to be a greater acceptance.
Correct.
For trying to go a little, take that extra step.
Correct.
To meet. That's what I think. Maybe I'm not fully informed on this, so I can't.
Fair enough. No, but that's right. And help us understand if you don't mind, I'll request you to deconstruct this a certain way, right? This might sound like a vague question, but since there is a department for multiculturalism, how do they define culture? What is culture?
You see, if I go back, how the department was started, this is in 1990s it was started. The Labour government started it because they felt that what they called the smaller communities were getting neglected, and their culture was being sometimes ridiculed or sometimes neglected. So they said we must do something. So they started this department where they were able to have a focus on that, trying to get them more opportunities for cultural activities, grants for doing that. So that is how it started in a small way. In New South Wales, I guess it is similar. I'm not up to speed on that.
Right.
So once that started, then fortunately there were good leaders from the non-mainstream communities, which they were able to take it up and then trying to progress it further. But one of the things which I think is still holding back is still the ability to submerge one's differences and then go for the cause in terms of what is good for the community. Sometimes, it's not all the time. I have found in some meetings I've attended, I've seen people are still being sort of narrow-minded and only thinking of their culture, their, where they come from, etc. Whereas, in this country, we have left those things here.
Correct.
So I know you can't avoid being, I can't avoid being an Indian. I understand that.
Of course.
Mentally, all that, spiritually, all that. But you don't consciously trying to project that into.
You can't say that the world around me has to change for that, right? This is the inner world.
Absolutely correct. You're beautifully put. Exactly. So that's one thing. But fortunately, after retirement, as I was telling you, I was looking for opportunities to serve the community in any way. I didn't want to hold any positions of power, or president, vice president. Somehow I maybe it is because some of the examples of some of the presidents was not up to my liking, or they were all very conscious of their thing. In fact, one committee people told me, sir, this man is there for 19 years. We told him so many times, you have to give opportunity to younger people. What can you do? I said, I will try. I can talk to him if you want. I don't mind. I'm becoming unpopular. I can talk to him. So I spoke to him. He was a nice man, but he was so consumed in his own, not so much importance, but in his own ability to make a difference to the community if he is there. He will say, no, these people don't know how to do this, Srinivasan. I said, but it is not for us to say that.
Power and title is a drug in a way. Right?
I know. But I couldn't convince him. He wouldn't give up. But anyway, I went and told this.
So you, in your role, you have to do these kind of things also.
No, they come and ask me, can you talk to them? So they will listen to you. Whereas if I talk, they won't. So I don't mind. I'm not standing for election.
Correct.
I'm not afraid of being unpopular. If somebody doesn't want to talk to me, that's fine.
Correct.
If you don't want to talk to me, that's okay. So I went and spoke to them. This is some seniors association in northern side, north side,
northern side,
and good people. They're all good people, but they were all this issue of this man is holding on and doesn't want to go and all that. So
how many, like in your experience that you have seen, I'm sure there'll be many cultural organizations that will keep getting involved. So I'm not asking in terms of the number of cultural organizations, but by and large, how many cultures did you come across? Like now, as Indians, we know that there's nothing called as Indian culture. Right?
Yes.
So you'll have, every state might have 2 to 3 variants.
Correct. Absolutely right.
So how many such cultures did you see?
See, I having lived in Calcutta, we were able to see far different, like Odissi, for example, like Bihar sometimes performances, Assamese, for example,
Northeastern
and of course
states.
Bengali performances, and of course South Indian, Carnatic from Karnataka, or
So you're talking about art performance.
art side of things. And so there was this composite view of how every particular art form from different parts of the country can give joy to people of a different culture.
Correct.
So long as they are keeping their hearts and minds open.
Correct.
So, but then if they are not open, they won't even come to the concert. So,
Correct.
So you don't have to. People who come to the concert, they are obviously open, or at least willing to open.
Correct.
So that Calcutta was that way good. You can attend very different cultural performances.
So I was speaking to one of the artists in a similar interview, and I was just trying to ask, because especially now with the global audience, especially when you are touring different countries, how do you see different audience, right? We can at best only relate to us as an Indian community attending an event. So first and foremost, I was surprised when he told me that he's a Carnatic classical performer, right?
Yeah.
I was surprised when he told me that actually foreigners come and listen to them.
Right.
It's not just as a one-off invite, but they actually come as a group and they sit, and because they're interested in a foreign art.
Okay.
That is one. And the second thing is they're absolutely attentive. They are not going to ask you question. I don't understand what you're saying. None of that. They are actually sitting and quietly listening to you, absorbing. And then I thought they're trying to be polite. But then he's like, no, then they come and ask you pertinent questions.
Okay.
What did you do at XYZ point?
Okay.
That is what really shows you how interested people are. Right?
They're willing to learn.
Yeah, I will not probably expand that and say that everybody, case in point, let's say this happened in France. I would not say that every French person is like this. But what I'm saying is art connoisseurs have, maybe they are a breed, right? Yes. So they'll be the same everywhere in a way.
Very true. No, that's a good point you make. I appreciate that. I like that actually. But see, when you are in Calcutta, though we are in India, the West Bengal people always felt their cultural activities were superior. Not in a what I would call in an arrogant way, but in a nice
air of authority,
which is fine. So long
holier than thou.
You pat their ego and they're happy.
Correct.
And but they were nice people. I like Bengal was probably more tolerant than many other places. But I haven't been to Maharashtra or and Bangalore is almost Madras, so I see culturally,
music-wise at least you start.
So there's not much different. But I found Bombay to some extent was very close to the Bangalore type of audiences, or Madras, not so much Madras, more Bangalore, or more Catholic and outlook-wise.
One thing I can say, being a Mumbaikar, is that, or a Bombaya, is that first and foremost, Bombay is a large city, just like maybe Calcutta or
yes.
Calcutta is maybe unique in the sense that it is still a cultural hub. Mumbai is not a cultural hub of Maharashtra. So don't
even attempt.
No, there is culture. I'm not saying that there is no culture.
But it is not necessarily
art. But that is not the hub.
Okay.
If you need to see Maharashtrian culture, you need to go into the next. You need to go to Pune.
Yes.
You can go to again, like Maharashtra is 3 in 1 kind of, right? So that whole thing together, that maybe that's why it is called Maharashtra, right?
Yes.
Because there are multiple Rashtras that have come together.
Correct.
So Vidarbha is different, Khandesh is different.
Correct.
The Konkan is different.
Yes.
So all of these have come together as places. Each one of them have a culture.
Right.
And I again go back to the point, right? Like, how do you define culture? I mean, in my mind, simply, I kind of feel sometimes that it's a combination of language, food, art, and maybe some customs that you follow around.
Yeah, exactly. I think you defined it well. More how a community feels comfortable with each other in following their own old traditions, their music, their dance, their language, their literature. They're all it's a composite
literature. Yeah, correct.
So I think it's
combination of all of that.
Yes.
So here, when if I don't know if you have this number handy, but I would still be curious to know how many cultures are actually recognized. Does the multicultural here in Victoria, do they say that there are 100 cultures we recognize?
No, well, in terms of languages or people I think when I was in the commission, they found out there were about 128 different, I mean, it's more countries, I would think, not necessarily cultures. Maybe you can equate it to that. So we're talking about 100 in excess.
India is an exception where probably you'll have states is equal to culture.
The Australians, the average Australian has quite difficulty in coming to terms with India having multiple culture. They think India is one culture. So I had to explain to them, no, it's not. The weather is different in Kashmir compared to in Cape Comorin.
I explained to them saying this way. Now they can probably relate to Europe.
Yes,
right?
It's Europe in a small sense.
Exactly. That is exactly what I tell them.
You're absolutely right.
You have Europe, which has multiple countries, but each country is a culture.
Multiple
Think of India as
multiple
that.
habits, multiple customs, dresses, everything.
You have now come up with a concept of a so-called Euro where you're clubbing all these countries together.
Yes.
We did that in 1947.
Correct. And that is why it's called Indian subcontinent. It is not one country.
Correct. So we have done that. We think of every state as a culture.
Correct.
And that's how we operate. And we are like that one big Euro in a way.
Correct. And it's and as you said, each state culture is quite ancient. Every one of them, Telugu has their dance forms are very ancient.
Correct.
And Karnataka is a very different. Maharashtra have their own thing. So Maharashtra is probably more recent origin in terms of compared to the other ones.
Compared to the other ones, I agree.
They're any less rich or any less thing. So Bengal, of course, always. Correct. Good. Odisha is good. Assam is
correct.
So there's a lot of different.
And again, as a student of history, probably you would have heard so much from your grandfather. When you look at that, is when you start appreciating all this. Right?
Yes.
Bihar, I find as a massive anomaly in the sense that what was at one point such a huge cultural.
It was at the apex of civilization.
Is at the bottom right now.
When Ashoka was there, Patna was all the way up there of the world almost.
Absolutely.
Now you go to Patna, you feel sad.
Yeah, correct.
But that's history.
That's history. I'm sure there'll be
a resurgence later.
Yeah, but one quick question as we come into the concluding part of this as well. You have now gotten exposure to so many cultures outside Indian culture also holistically, right? Any experiences, any learning experiences? Which one did you think was, like you felt an immediate attraction to? Which one did you feel was similar, or which one did you feel was so different that you learned something?
You see, it also has to do something sometimes with your age. See, when you're young, you're more ready to absorb.
Right.
So to that extent, I may be sounding prejudiced a little bit. See, Japan was when I was 21, I was there.
Correct.
So it makes a huge impression on you.
100%.
And whatever they do, you think is the right thing. They're very polite. They will first let you in before, they do the other things. They wait for you, and they are very polite, and everything they do is done with taste, Indian taste.
Correct.
Whereas when you compare it with the way we do things in India, not all the time, not all the people, then you feel a bit disappointed.
Yes.
But then that's variety. Life, variety is the spice of life. People live different ways. So you do learn a lot but I personally feel every young boy or girl should have a chance to live in a different culture. It may not be in another foreign country. Ideally, it will be in another foreign country. But even in your own place, if you're in one state, if you go to another state and live, I think you will learn a lot.
Correct.
I think that variety of experience, I think, will stand the person in good stead in their life.
Agreed.
That's what I always feel.
Agreed.
So I'm very grateful that I had that opportunity. Being in hostel, for example, is a good starting point.
Yes, 100%.
You will have some coffee now? Right.
Things of that nature.
Well, you see, there is certain times some people have felt, though they have not articulated it in that sense, are all cultures being treated equally? They feel some of them are being given more preference or given more things, etc. So my answer to that is, it may be true, but the important thing is everyone is getting a chance. Maybe not to the extent that you're expecting or what you think you deserve, but the fact that the basis of the whole concept is multicultural. The whole concept is to take care of all cultures and provide as much opportunities for the various cultural organizations or people from different countries to coexist in a peaceful way. I think that's a good starting point. Life is not perfect. Nothing will be perfect, but at least the framework is good, and therefore the tapestry which you make out of that will be good.
Even good. Absolutely. Right? And one more question on the same lines that comes to me. Food is very important for all of us.
Yes.
So in your experiences, and particularly after you took on the role in the commission, did you come across any food that really appealed to you? Like, yes, I like this. This is similar to my palate.
I don't know. I mean, I had a tolerance for, or not so. I really liked food of different cultures. See, when I was in Japan, when I was 21 years old,
correct,
it was a completely revelation. The whole thing is nothing is without fish. Nothing which doesn't smell. You know,
And you were a vegetarian?
I was a vegetarian till then. I mean, I might have taken some chicken some odd time, but not in a regular. Not that what I enjoyed it. You know, sometimes in college you go there, you go somewhere, you don't have anything else. So, but it was not something I was very looking forward to. But in Japan, there is nothing you can do. That's the only thing available. And so I developed, or at least I got rid of my dislike. First thing is get rid of your dislike. You think that it is bad. Don't you have a block? So remove that block and see what it is. And you may not like it as much as you like your own food. Fair enough. But once you do that, I think you will enjoy. Everybody will enjoy your participation. Your company also. Particularly in the hostel in Japan where we were there in Hitachi City, the cook was very nice man. His wife, for Sundays, he used to make lunch because we were outside people. We were about 6 people there, 2 Australians and 2 Filipinos and 3 Indians. So he used to make food for all of us. So he will sometimes call in his broken English. He will say, "Well, how do I do this Philippine and this?" I said, "You don't worry. You make what you think is required. We will adjust." Correct. But he was very kind, very very sensitive. You know, he came and then he came and asked how to make. Then I told him how you make. Our sort of dish, more like not the sambar, more like for chapati side dish. So he used to make chapatis well for some reason.
By the way, I'll tell you something funny.
Yeah.
My wife always gets annoyed when I say this. But you know, my best meal in the city is sambar rice. I have sambar rice.
Right.
You know where I have a sambar rice?
Yeah.
I have in a Japanese restaurant. Because you know they make the curry tofu don. The curry is so tasty.
Similar, yes.
And then they add the vegetables and the tofu in it. So she's a nice lady. You know, this is a place called Katsu House in across NAB building in 700 Burke.
Okay.
So we always go there, and she's a very nice lady, accommodating. We tell her, put more curry, less rice. So it literally is sambar rice, hot, spicy sambar rice in a Japanese restaurant.
Very nice, very nice. No, but that's a good thing about going outside your country. Learn about other cultures, learn about other cuisines. So you want to develop a better tolerance, and for all you know, you will enjoy some of them.
Correct.
You know, like some of the food, Japanese food is quite enjoyable.
Yes.
It may not be exactly to your taste or whatever. But it's very nice, for example.
And I like the way you put it. You know, the first thing we have to take out is a block. Right. So if we expect that their food will taste like my sambar rice, then why did you go there?
Exactly.
Stay in your city.
You are spot on. So I think the tolerance, is important. Mental tolerance. You will develop it once you are living in a foreign country. You will slowly develop it.
Correct.
But if you are mentally prepared before you go, you will enjoy it a lot better.
Correct. Absolutely.
See, I was in one sense I was fortunate. In Japan I went. In the year 1964 Olympics, Tokyo Olympics was there.
Oh, you were there at that time?
Yeah, okay. So it was good. I was able to watch those Olympics, and I remember when we were outside the stadium, lot these Japanese boys and girls will come and ask for an autograph, thinking that we were hockey players. So we tried to explain to them that we are just like you. No, you are Indian. You must be good in hockey.
Eventually, you just gave the signature. We'll take it.
So I feel really like somebody wanted my autograph.
All right. On that wonderful note, I would like to say thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Srinivasan ji, for spending this time with us.
Thank you.
It was nostalgic for me in a way. Not that I have lived in those times, but you know, through your eyes, the vivid explanation that you have given us transported all of us into the 40s. You know, Chennai. You talked even about Independence Day. You talked about the wonderful days in Coimbatore, in Calcutta, in Japan, and of course in Australia. Thank you for sharing all your amazing 8 decades worth of experience with us. We wish to spend more time with you again, and hopefully we'll do a part 2 to continue our stories.
Not a problem. Thank you. Anytime, if I can be of value, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you
very much. Thank you for your kindness to give me the opportunity to explain a little bit more about my past, for whatever value it may bring to your viewers or whatever. So no, I thank you for that, taking the time and the trouble to do this.
My pleasure. All the pleasure is totally mine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and have a great day. So we'll be back with another episode with another CoolKarni on the next show. Please stay tuned. This is Sanjeev Kulkarni, your host and host, signing off.